Quadratic function, completing the square. When do you use completing the square? You use completing the square when they want the answer in a form of f of x equals to a times x minus h, close parentheses, square plus k. When they want the answer in this form, it's better to solve the quadratic functions by completing the square. For example, let's say that we're given this quadratic function of f of x equals to negative 2x squared plus 16x minus 25 divided by 3. To solve this quadratic functions by completing the square, the first thing you need to do is to isolate the first term and the second term. So to isolate the first term and the second term, you take out the negative 2. Put a parentheses, x squared. Why do you put a x squared? Because negative 2 times x squared equals to negative 2x squared, which matches the original quadratic function. Then you minus 8x. Why do you minus 8x? Because negative 8x times negative 2 makes positive 16x, which matches the original quadratic function. And then you write the consonant the same thing as the given quadratic function. Now that you have isolated the first term and the second term, the second step is to do completing the square. To do the completing the square, you take the second term, which is b, and then you divide it by 2 raised to the second power. So this is negative 8x, which is the second term. So it will be negative 8 divided by 2, parentheses raised to the second power. Because there's a formula that says negative b divided by 2 raised to the second power to find the completing the square. So you get negative 8 divided by 2 raised to the second power, which is equivalent to negative 4 times negative 4, which is positive 16. Now that you have the 16, you add it to the second term and also you minus it. So it will become like this. Negative 2x, parentheses x squared minus 8x plus 16x and also minus 16x, and then close parentheses, negative 25 divided by 3. That's how you do the method of completing the square. Once you have the completing the square, it's time to isolate this negative 16 out. So you put a close parenthesis next to the positive 16, and you isolate the negative 16, and you also bring along the negative 2 with it. So it will be negative 2 times negative 16 minus 25 divided by 3. That's how you isolate the negative 16 out of this whole expression. Once you isolate the negative 16 and the negative 16 from this whole expression, is called distributing method. And the next thing you need to do is just do the calculation, like algebra calculation. So you also need to do the algebra calculation. At the same time, you need to factor out this whole quadratic expression right here. So you take x minus 4. How do you raise to the second power? How do you get x negative 4? Because the negative 4 comes from right here, negative 4. It will always be the number that comes from right here. So every time you see a number right here inside the closed parentheses, inside this parentheses, whatever number right there, you just write it right here, and then close parentheses raised to the second power. and then plus 32, because negative 2 times negative 16 is 32. Now that you factor out the above expression, it's time to just do algebra. So 32 minus 25 divided by 3, which is a fraction. So negative 32 is the same thing as positive 32 is the same thing as positive 32 divided by 1. Notice that the common denominator right here is not the same, so you cannot subtract it right away. You have to make the denominator to be the same in order to subtract this fraction. So the common denominator for 1 and 3, it will be 3. 3 times what equals to 3? It will be 3, right? So you take 3 times 32, which equals to 96. 3 times what equals to 3? It will be 1. So you take 1 times 25. It will be 25. Now that the denominator is the same, that means you could subtract it. So 96 divided by 3 minus 25 divided by 3 is equal to 71 divided by 3. So the answer for this quadratic function, it will be f of x equals to negative 2 parentheses x minus 4 raised to the second power plus 71 divided by 3.